Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my attempt to try and master the EMMI counter. The EMMI counter is a mechanic in Metroid Dread that allows you to counter the EMMI. The EMMI are these terrifying robotic creatures that chase you around, and at first they're virtually indestructible. You don't have many options to deal with them, but one option you're given very early on is the EMMI counter. But the timing of it is very challenging, and I'm trying to master it. I may not, but I've been analyzing the EMMI, recording a lot of different attempts at trying to counter them, and I've gotten better, and I've realized some things. So I sort of want to show you that today, and maybe together collectively we can figure out more things and get better at countering the EMMI together moving forward. So I first want to focus on how challenging getting the timing is. It's like a split second. The game tells you you have one opportunity to do so when there's a red flash. So let me show you something here. When we play this, I want to point out, yes, I just reflected it there, but let me show you something here. The time, trying to go frame by frame. Forgive me, I don't have a 60 FPS capture card, so it's not like every little frame, but it's more like every 2 frames. But take a look at this. Okay, look at my audio here. This is when the shriek starts, but the red flash doesn't start until a few frames later. So that's interesting. It kind of suggests that maybe we should pay attention more to the audio than the visual cues. You could, in theory, hear this quicker. Now I understand visually we may see faster, and then audio, you know, is not as fast, but it kind of depends on the situation. Also, we're talking about fractions of a second here. But it's just something I've noticed, that technically the screech starts before the red flash, and you have to do the counter by that point. If you don't, well, then you'll fail. But in this scenario, I succeeded. And I did it a few more times just to be sure, but you'll see again here, look at where the audio goes up, and the shriek starts here, but the red flash takes a few more frames. So, just something interesting I've noticed about the EMMI in terms of the timing of when that red flash happens and the shriek. The idea is that we do our melee counter right before that happens. But I want to point something else out here. It's not just the visual and auditory cues that are a little confusing, but also what the game suggests in terms of how to deal with them. They tell you you only have one opportunity to deal with the EMMI in terms of countering it. That's not entirely true. As far as I can tell, you have 2. So let me show you. So I'm going to play some footage here, and what you'll notice, pay attention, I'm going to miss the initial counter. You'll see my arm swing around, but then I still escaped. I was still able to fend off the EMMI briefly with the counter. You actually have 2 opportunities to fend off the EMMI. There's that initial red flash with the claw, but then there's another red flash literally right before you die from the eye. So you actually have 2 chances to counter the EMMI. And simply by knowing that you have 2 chances, that kind of dramatically increases your chances. You have double the amount of chances to counter the EMMI, and the game doesn't tell you that. Now, even though you may now realize that you have 2 chances to do it, it's still very challenging, even with those 2 chances to do so. Part of the problem is that there are different kinds of EMMI, and they all may react differently. I've only been practicing with the yellow EMMI so far, but what I've noticed just with the yellow EMMI, it's not one singular animation or timing that you have to get down in order to counter it. Because yes, while you may have 2 opportunities per EMMI sort of attack or capture, each sort of interaction can vary. Sometimes the straight up timing of it seems to vary itself, so sometimes they go faster or slower, but also, depending on how you get caught by the EMMI, there are different animations. I've actually noticed 4 so far. Let me show you. So here we have the EMMI, he's approaching. Notice how I'm facing the EMMI. His claws are outstretched like that, I'm able to fend it off. But now, I'm going to turn around, hit from behind, and it's coming at me from a different angle now. So those are 2 different animations that I have to get used to in order to counter it. But that's just from the left side. It's also different from the right side as well. Let me show you. Just speed this up a little bit so we get closer. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. Alright, that's good enough. So here, I'm from behind. I get attacked from behind from the right. And there it is, a different angle again. But I'm able to fend it off right at the last second. And now I'm facing the Emmy. Give it a moment to recover there. And it comes at me from a different angle again. And yet I'm able to fend it off for a second time in a row, which I was pretty proud of. But I failed here because, well, the timing is just so hard to figure out. So, and that's kind of the crazy thing about the Emmy. So, like, they have different attack animations, so you have to get used to those different animations for the different directions or angles you get attacked or captured by the Emmy. But then also, the timing itself seems to vary somewhat. So it's very challenging. But with all these different things in mind and a couple hours of practice so far, I feel like I've gotten fairly decent at countering the Emmy. So let me go ahead and show you my best attempt at repeatedly countering the Emmy. And that's pretty much the best I've been able to do so far. This is just the second time that I was able to counter the Emmy 3 times repeatedly within a single life. And it's not easy. And what you will have noticed from this second go around, twice I had to rely on that second opportunity, which I feel like is a little bit harder to do. And it's just interesting because you have these different angles that show different animations and the timing can vary, and you have a split second to do so. But what's important to understand is that you have 2 chances to do it. You want to do it as soon as you can, so I recommend keep your finger on that button, be listening to the audio cues with great volume options, make sure you're close to the screen, and just focus as much as you can, and be ready. And it's probably going to take some practice. With some practice, I was able to do 3 times in a row. Now, I'm not saying I do it 3 times in a row every time. Maybe I only counted the Emmy maybe 30 to 40% of the time so far, maybe even less than that depending on what angle I get attacked from. But as I get more used to these different angles and I continue to try, I have a hope that I will get even closer to mastering the Emmy counter. But what do you guys think? What else have you guys noticed about the Emmy encounters and how you can counter them? Have you noticed any other details? Have you guys gotten further into the game and noticed other elements about different Emmy? Do they vary? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.